Welcome, 26 and Glencoe Media Network. I am your host at One Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms, aka Flo, aka call me what you want, just don't call me lazy. And I am here with
Metro Meta, he who shall not be named, he who stands above all others.
And we are fresh out. This is another in the field, fresh out of Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yep.
So first thoughts. What are your first thoughts about the movie?
I really liked it. I really enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed the themes and the characters. I think I like the world travel view because that's the big thing everybody says about
Right.
Spider-Man. They're like, you take him out of New York, he's barely a superhero.
Right.
And so I feel like they did a good job of addressing that.
Right, for sure. And just real quick, I'm reading a synopsis. It says, following the events of Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man must step up to take on new threats in a world that has changed forever. And one of the things that I just thought was weird was how the time travel thing still kind of doesn't make sense to me, because they're making it like they mentioned how some people in the time jump or in the blip, which they were calling it, how some people aged 5 years.
Well, yeah.
And they had to come back during that same time. But also it was like weird because Spider-Man didn't change.
Because he was ghosted. He got snapped, remember?
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
basically everybody who got snapped, they came back exactly where
Right.
they were
Just
when the
5
snap
years, yeah.
happened. And then everybody else just lived their lives.
Right. And so how did you feel about Nick Fury? Not Nick Fury, Mysterio.
I liked him. I thought
Okay.
he was very compelling. You know, this continues the trend that Marvel has done ever since they gotten a hold of Spider-Man, with his villains being more down to earth. Like his villains being less
Right.
like cosmic threats and more like they're just mostly just disgruntled workers, disgruntled people who were screwed over. And I think that a big part of this movie was addressing, like, was Tony Stark the hero that everyone's acting like he was?
Right. And another thing that I really just enjoyed is how they have meshed together Tony Stark as well as Spider-Man's villains, and how it's basically like a legacy thing. Like Mysterio is a Spider-Man villain, but it stemmed from Iron Man's problems and his issues.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very compelling as well.
Yeah, it's very good. I liked Mysterio as a villain. He was somebody who you could understand why he was doing what he was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
My concern is, this is probably jumping ahead, but they killed Mysterio. I feel like he was such a good foil for Spider-Man.
He's not dead.
But like we were just beginning to touch the surface of him. And if he's not dead, with his big illusion and his big reveal in that post-credit scene, we'll talk about that in a bit. But it's just like Marvel continues the trend of killing amazing villains.
They do that a lot.
But like, and they go to that well a lot. And it's just like, now it's just like, okay.
There are so many like Marvel villains where you think back and you go, well, it would be nice to have this person back.
Right. And it's even crazy just seeing Mysterio when he was giving that toast to his team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, it wasn't the villains, but it was like their henchmen and how they like transformed and how they have grown in this new era.
Yeah, like Obadiah. Wouldn't it have been nice to see maybe wouldn't it have been nice to see Spider-Man go up against like Obadiah?
Right. No,
Obadiah
sure.
trying to take control of Stark
For
Industries. Sure. Or bring Killmonger back for any reason.
Right.
The villain from Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
Hela.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. There's so many villains that they just continue to just kill off that I think they need to rein it in.
Right. And another big thing, Peter Parker finally got the girl. He finally got her. He finally got MJ.
It only took like two movies.
Yeah. I mean,
take that, Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It took him 2 movies.
It was super cool. Zendaya and Tom Holland have great chemistry.
They mesh. Is one of my favorites.
They mesh well together, just as actors and as actor and actresses, and they just I feel like they bounce together so seamlessly. And another thing is very reflective of the Peter Parker in the comics and not Mary J, but it's very reflective of like Peter Parker, him being like the awkward nerd who still gets girls.
I do like this new sort of path they took with Mary J,
right?
Where she's not just the popular
model,
queen,
yeah,
but she's more of like an awkward like truth. Like she reminds me of somebody who more than likely would have been my friend in high school.
Right. Another big thing that I like, they played we're just jumping ahead, but they paid homage to the Spider-Man 2 in that with the swinging swing scene, and Mary Jane was singing from, and Spider-Man was carrying Peter Parker.
That was pretty nice.
Yeah, I like the twist they put on it.
How did you like the fight between Spider-Man and Mysterio?
I loved it
because one of the differences between Mysterio and other villains is that Mysterio, he doesn't have any powers.
Yeah, he's an illusionist.
He's an illusionist. Yeah. So they really had to bring it with the illusion, and I feel like they really captured what it would feel like if you were fighting an illusionist. You're like seeing things. He's bringing up stuff from his past. Like you see that he's fighting dirty and that he doesn't necessarily. Because even in the when Spider-Man got to Mysterio, he took him down in like one punch. Like it didn't take much.
And but I did like the fight scene just because people said it was heavy on CGI, but I feel like that's what made it work. It had to be heavy on CGI because Mysterio is an illusionist. Like, well, that's what I expect.
His literal superpower is like CGI. So
that's what I literally expect. And the extra twist that they brought in with Tony Stark's former employees and at them actually having to be able to create chaos and damage and physical damage, that was interesting as well. I felt like that was a great touch.
I like the planning scene where you see Mysterio and his team.
Right.
They're planning things out. They're testing it out. They're choreographing everything. And you just see that Mysterio, even if he was a tech genius, you see in his mind he was like a director. He's like, I'm not loving this choreograph, but we can live with it.
And he's a perfectionist.
Yeah, let's turn up the damage on these machines. And they're like, well, that's going to take a lot of people out. He's like, I'm trying, and he specifically said, I'm trying to be the next Iron Man. I need a Avengers level event.
And I think that's a big key. That was a big theme in the movie. People were talking about being the next Iron Man. While instead of putting their best foot forward and being the best version of themselves, that sometimes it came like a bit of a detriment to me just because it was just like every 10 minutes Iron Man Stark. You can't do this. Stark's absence is this, and it's just like, well, okay, I would rather them figure it out on themselves, and that's really what we saw from Peter at the end.
But I think that was part of the point, is that Peter Parker, Spider-Man, both in the film and in the universe and in the MCU in general, that's what everybody's saying is, who's going to take the reign now? Who's the next Iron Man? And some people said it was Captain Marvel, but she's not there enough.
No, so I actually, I think Captain Marvel will be the new Thor, and I think Spider-Man will be the new Iron Man, and Black Panther will be the new Captain America.
Yeah,
and
but like,
simple.
If you're that character as Spider-Man, that's what they're building this around. That's how it feels to Peter Parker to stand in the world. Because one of the things that I like about the MCU as opposed to the other Spider-Man movies is that this is a world where superheroes exist and have been around for a while, and actually at this point are fairly common.
Right.
So the fact that there's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, it's not awe-inspiring anymore because he's not out there fighting aliens every day.
Nah, I feel you there. I also just think that overall, just when it comes to Spider-Man and Peter Parker, I felt like just the common sense of like Peter always being gone, like finally caught up to him. Like, in the past Spider-Man series, nobody was like, "Oh, where's Parker at?" But in this one, people were like, "Okay, you disappear all the time." Like,
and even they had MJ figure it out.
Yeah, no,
she was supposed to be like, "Well, you're always gone," and then Spider-Man. It's the old like you never see Batman and Bruce Wayne in the same room.
Right. Speaking of the Spider-Man 2 franchise, that first Spider-Man franchise, we got a returning face.
Yeah,
Jonah Jameson with no hair. Crazy.
Yeah.
Saying Spider-Man's a menace. Love it. Need that directly in my veins.
So, since we've seen the post-credit scene where they expose Spider-Man, they blame London on him. You're the new director. You're making the next MCU movie after that happens. Because what's the next movie after this one?
I can't remember off top.
I don't even know if they've said it yet. But what do you go with next? Are you going to do an Avengers level movie? Are you going to go with another Spider-Man movie? Where do you go with that?
It has to be another Spider-Man film. I believe probably 2 years from now. Or no, I do an Avengers film. But the weird, because I don't know what Marvel's trying to do, but the storyline that has that is the One More Day storyline, where like his I could be wrong, please don't kill me if I'm wrong, where like his secret identity gets revealed, and then it takes like a witch or Madam Web to come through and help him and to restore it. But when she restores it, she like changes some things. So that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, no, I love that ending. How did you feel about the Nick Fury ending? I feel like we're heading towards Secret Invasion.
I think that
that's
because I feel like that might be because you have Spider-Man, his identity's coming out, and then you have Kree who are already here. Because like, I was thinking about it, when did Nick Fury get switched out?
Captain Marvel. It'd have to be Captain Marvel back in the 90s.
So you're saying like up until now, Nick Fury's just been gone.
Yeah.
But that would mean that the person who made the Avengers initiative was a Kree.
Yes.
See, I don't know. I feel like it might have been more recent where I think it might have been during when he died off before
I don't know. I do think it could be since Captain Marvel, which happened in the 90s.
It of course has to be since Captain Marvel, but
yeah,
it's very interesting. I think it was the two hottest timelines for me to guess when he might have been switched out. Is one is immediately after, not Avengers Infinity, Endgame. Immediately after Endgame, when Captain Marvel leaves and goes home, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go with you. I'm done with all of this. I'm going on vacation because I'm tired. Or immediately after he was dead, because it's very strange to see that he was a Kree.
Right.
But I do feel like if they did have a Secret Invasion, Spider-Man's a pariah to the public.
Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson's like hound dogging all the heroes. You got Kree everywhere. Everybody trying to be the next Mysterio.
Kree Skrulls. Staying there on Skrull.
Well, it could be Skrulls everywhere.
We could
get Krees.
Secret Invasion that leads to the Kree Skrull war.
And then if they do that, they could seemingly do something to set up adding the X-Men in there.
Right.
Or adding, or even just, because with the Kree still being there are a few characters that, really interesting characters they could add to the MCU. They could add Miss Marvel. Kamala Khan can be added as long as the Kree are in here. Moon Girl could be added as long as the Kree are in here. And you know, we just had Disney announce the next Little Mermaid, so they're filling the strong black females. That's like two they can add in right off the bat. Of course, they got the new Ironheart. They could add her in there. So I really feel like they have an interesting setup that they could use to push in any direction.
No, for sure. But yeah, just wrapping up. Overall, what would you give it?
8 out of 10.
Okay. I'm the same. Once again, 8 out of 10. I loved it. Once again, thank you for tuning in to a special in the field. We're going to call it Edith. You'll know that if you see the film. But make sure you're following us on all social media platforms. Morgan, say yours.
I am MetroMeta26 on Twitter and Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram.
Make sure you're following me on Twitter at OneMarcusFlowers. Follow me on Instagram at OneMarcusFlowers. Follow us on Twitter at 26andG. Follow us on Instagram at 26andGlencoe. Like our Facebook page, 26 and Glencoe Media Network. Like our YouTube page at 26 and Glencoe Media Network. We had a very big March. June. I just want to appreciate everybody who liked, listened, supported, subscribed, definitely shared, loved all of that. We had our Comic-Con wrap up. We had a few special podcasts, special Fantastic Flow podcast. We had a Metro Meta podcast as well. So stay tuned. We're having a lot of content coming out. Super excited to tell you guys. And until next time, peace.